Good morning, traders. Hope you're all doing fantastic. It's a new day, Tuesday, time for the Tuesday Outlook and Setups. Today, this morning, I will be first building on what I shared yesterday in yesterday's video that I did named for FOREX for Beginners top-down analysis. And in that video, we looked at analyzing GU from a top-down point of view, daily, 1 hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and even 1 minute for entries. The thing that we're going to look at right now is just further analysis for the pair, and we'll also be looking at AU and GU. So if you haven't looked at the first video, make sure to have a look at it. I think there ought to be a few good stuff in there. So just looking at the daily, and we've been reacting off of this daily imbalance. This is an area that we've been kind of looking at for quite some time, a few weeks actually, since the 17th of March. Actually, we've been looking at price reach into this area, see the reaction, and then start to push towards the downside. But you can see price never just pushes into an area and then goes out. It always pushes in slowly, moving sideways, a bit of up and down movement, and then eventually we see the reaction towards the downside. So ultimately, this push towards the downside broke multiple structures to the left, and this is significant because it's in the direction of the higher time frame. Because we can see the weekly is bearish, the overall daily narrative is bearish as well, moving towards the downside. So ultimately, this move towards the downside was pro-trend and in the direction of what we were looking for and what the higher time frame is suggesting. That's not to say we can't get a deeper pullback up closing day. So we could see price really push towards the upside, maybe move sideways and end in this area, and then only the next day see the further continuation. So just because yesterday was a bearish day doesn't mean today has to be one. That's possible, but doesn't mean it has to. I'm looking ultimately at this level to be reached. If we can just get a price level, I'm looking for 300, 1.3 thousand, or the 1.3 level. 27 if you just look at the decimals, but that's more or less the area that I'm looking at for price to reach to in the coming days, hopefully this week. But this could also be a opportunity for a reversal. Why do we say that? Because usually when we have price moving towards the downside, we're trading like this. But now what happens if we push towards the downside? We want to trade, but then we make a higher low, and we don't make that lower low. So this could be a sign for a reversal towards the upside if we stop in this area. So I'm keeping in mind that on the daily we could perhaps see this as the higher low as well, and then only see price push up higher. So for this, we could also just look at the premium discount, and we can see from this swing leg, this push towards the upside, price coming down into this area is in the discount. So there's nothing really on the daily. Perhaps the only thing is that we swept this low in terms of liquidity. This could maybe be enough, and then we could see price push up higher again. So I have still some conflicting biases. I think the most probable one is just continuing bearish, just follow what we see. And the more aggressive one would be looking for reversals, but then the reversals should be rather obvious. A very clear 50-minute shift in the trend, and then only I think we can start looking for buys. But for now, still sells. And yeah, let me show you on the 1 hour. Let me just the 1 hour. We don't really need to look at all of this. We know the price swept below these lows. On the 1 hour, we see some interesting things. I'm just going to take this away. So we're seeing accumulation and then a push down. Then we're seeing this accumulation. So I'm expecting price to make another push down, and then only maybe to make the reversal if we're going to see a reversal. So just keeping that reversal in the back of your mind, don't focus on it, but just know that it could happen just because we could see price create a high low and then push further up higher. So in terms of sells, this is now where it gets kind of a little bit tricky, because we now have to find a entry. So obviously we first look at the push towards the downside, and we're looking for any highs to the left. The price can sweep it before going lower. That's one kind of a key fundamental thing. We have a liquidity high right up there, and then we have the imbalance over there as well over here. That out. We have our imbalance as well. So on the 1 hour, a run towards the upside and then down is a valid option. We'll only be bullish once we break above this high. Then I think we'll be turning bullish somewhere around here. But let's just take this high for now. Once we turn above this high, then I think we're more bullish, but not yet, still bearish. So we can still make a retracement into this area and then see price go lower. So just looking at this swing point from this high towards this low, we can see this is nicely in the premium area of that price leg. If we just take this area, still very nicely situated in the premium, then to look for the sells. So I'm just going to keep this on the left. Let's have a look at the 15 minutes. This is very nice. I love it when the 50-minute imbalance and the 1 hour imbalance really aligns perfectly. So we can just put it over there. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to use this one. So looking, this is the imbalance now. Just note the imbalance, and I'll be looking to see if price can come up into this area. Maybe the 50% of it, maybe something like this. So that could be a really nice potential trade because we want to see this liquidity towards the upside being taken out. If you want to see further downside movement, we want to see the upside liquidity being taken out first before continuing lower. So this is the general idea. If this doesn't happen, if we maybe just see a small wick above these highs and we take out the liquidity above these highs, and if we then see a convincing 1 minute shift towards the downside, we can then look to take a trade perhaps on the five or lower time frame, get in something like this. So it's very based on what ifs. If this happens, we do this, and if that happens, we do that. So we have to be reactive and not try to predict too much. But this is the framework what I'm working with and what I'm seeing currently. So I'm looking for that pullback potentially, and then a further push towards the downside. Um, I'm not going to go lower than a 50-minute because we need to be in an area of interest before we can really jump down lower. Just to show you that the 5 minute is showing us more or less the same thing, the same imbalance area. Highs stays the same. So it's pretty much, this is the one area on the 5 minute that I was looking at, which could still uh, be something. So this area is also the one that I'm really looking at. It's a decent supply area, very strong supply area, just below the imbalance, and it's tapping into that 50% area. So it can be reached and just tap that 50% line, and it could be seen as sufficient. Then we could see price then go lower. So I'm just going to keep that line over there. So that's something that we can keep our eyes on as well. If we don't see a deep push towards the upside, at least something into this area, at least something like this, then towards the downside. Then looking at just our first reference is there's our first outside liquidity that we could be targeting, and then obviously these lows as well. That's outside. We should be targeting there. So it all depends on whether or not price is willing to still go lower, and if we can get that liquidity grab before we go lower. So that's kind of the premises behind the trade idea that we are building right now. This in Asian session is a bit is concerning. A little V-shaped recovery. Price push down. Sorry. And then pushes back up again. Interesting to see where price reaches into. It reaches into this imbalance that we have to the left, right over there. You can see we tap into it and we push up towards the upside. So we have to be wary of this low. So I'm just gonna put a mark on this. So this low could be a safe low and protected low because it reacted off of the imbalance and pushed towards the upside. But I do think, yeah, we could see price. So kind of what I want to get at is we have our areas where we would want to enter. If we don't get anything there, then there's no trade today. Then it just is. It is what it is. Then I did not get a trade according to my trading plan. Yesterday I got one according to the trading plan, and it was a good trade. So we try to trade just when the days are favorable for your trading plan, and stay away when it's not, because then you'll be losing money if you try to force things on those days. So which is very important. And if price could also just go soft and roll over, and just further down towards the downside, then we'll just look for the continuation shorts. We'll just look for price to make pullbacks to get in on the shorts until we reach all of this liquidity, and then ultimately potentially these lows towards the downside if it will happen today. We don't know. Okay, let's have a quick look at EURUSD. You can see I also removed it from my views. So let's have a quick look. Yeah. Okay, when we look at EU, you can see it's completely difficult to read currently. We had really nice price action, nice daily candles in all of this area here. This was a bit messy, but nice price action towards the downside there. And now it's just really, really horrible. You can see price is not giving us any daily directional bias idea. It's just consolidating. So we can see that it's kind of making this type of pattern, sliding wedge. I don't even know if that's something. Just thought of it. So we're looking and seeing price consolidate, and it's moving just sideways. So on the daily, it is very, it's horrible. So we just need to look at previous daily lows and highs for sweeps. This one and this one. So we're just gonna look at those areas right now on the 1 hour. Now I feel completely lost. So it does look on the 1 hour we're moving towards the downside. So bearish. We are respecting these areas like this, staying below this area. So I would be looking for sells personally. You might see a little sweep. We might see a little sweep towards the upside and then further towards the downside. And I think this would be my target if I traded EU. Because we're respecting this imbalance, it creates a strong high. And if we now break below it, you can see price, once it tapped into the imbalance, they haven't gone above it yet. It stays staying below it. So if we now get a break of this level, I will definitely be then anticipating price to make some sort of pullback and then a further continuation towards the downside. But overall, I think sells is more likely than buys, because now on the lower time frames we can see there is some sort of trend happening, pushing towards the downside. It's very slow. It's not a strong trend. It's more consolidative trend, but we can see it go lower. There's no okay. Maybe this now we can refine it a bit more. We can note that break, and we can note this area, which is nice because it stripped the liquidity above these highs. This could be a sell area, maybe something like this stop loss above, and then targeting these lows. So that could be a trade idea, and I think you can possibly frame something on the lower time frames in this as well. We'll refine it a bit more, and so on. Pushing up, strong push down, maybe even this area. So your entry could be fine right there. Price could fill all this imbalance after this break, the sweep of these highs, pulse of break. We see displacement in our direction. We see it there as well. So we can see it everywhere. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'll be looking for, and then definitely securing the trade at this first. That's also liquidity. Yeah, so that is what I have to say about EU. As you guys know, I'm not diving too deep into these pairs. GU is my main source, so I'll be focusing on that the most, obviously. But this is the kind of the trade idea that I could be looking for. But again, taking with an extra grain of salt, I'm not that comfortable trading these pairs, so I'd say I'm not that fluent in EU or AU. But I try to show you guys what we can look at. Aussie dollar. Yeah, Aussie dollar is very messy. Just look at this consolidation. Daily, let's have a look. Now, so the daily is very messy. We're coming from a made this high, uh, coming from this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is a weekly area. In this weekly, let's quickly have a look. Yeah, so we're in this weekly supply block, um, pointing it down towards the daily. We can refine it towards this area. You can see we tapped into it, starting to show price going lower. Then look at the 1 hour. We can see price finally broke away from it, breaking away from it, started pulling back, created this high, and then broke structure again towards the downside. We see another break over there. So let's look at the 50-minute for potential entry area. Well, potentially all of this could be an area. There's buy candle before the sell move, and there's buy candle took liquidity. So there's buy candle. So I would be interested in something in this area, close to the 50%. Something in this area for potential sales. If it dropped to the 5 minute, we pushed up, we pushed down, we pulled back, and then we pushed down, breaking the structure. So maybe this candle as an extreme. There's no imbalance there. So yeah, more or less something in this area. I would be looking for. You could always wait for price to go in there, give a reaction, and then look for an entry. That's always the safest bet. To first wait for that reaction and then look for it. Sometimes you will then miss an entry, but when you get an entry, you know it's a safer bet. Definitely a higher probability trade. And if this thing drops, it's going to be dropping really hard, I think. And this would be the first limit target. That's outside liquidity. So you could frame a trade, set up something like this. That's how I would do it. Guys, I'm going to end it at that. I'm not going to talk too much more. We have our areas. GU is not looking as great today. Actually, AU is looking better. Not trading Aussie dollar. So potentially you might get a setup in here. This does look better for me. So I might just monitor it today and have a look at it. That's it for me, guys. Hope you all have a wonderful day and see you all in the chats.